top story tonight comes from the UK. What happened in Westminster has the potential to stir a storm in the Indian Parliament. For days now, the ruling BJP and the opposition Congress party have been trading charges and accusing each other of abusing voter data, your data and mine. Today, we've got a definitive answer. Christopher Wylie, the whistleblower who blew the lid off the Facebook Cambridge Analytica scandal, has dropped a bombshell. During his deposition before the UK Parliamentary Committee, Christopher Wylie named the Indian National Congress. This is the party, he said, for which Cambridge Analytica worked extensively in India. Listen in.
Can I just ask one more question? Just going back to Facebook's biggest user markets. If you make a speciality out of using Facebook and surveys, and I don't know how many Alexander Kogans there are who've worked with Cambridge Analytica, you focus on the world's biggest democracy with lots and lots of elections all the time, India, as being a prime source of business, wouldn't you? And you mentioned that they've done quite a bit of work in India. Could you just describe what you're aware of?
I believe their client was Congress, but I know that they've done all kinds of projects, both regional. I don't think they've done I don't remember a national project, but I know regionally. I mean, India's
different states.
Yeah, I mean, India is so big that one state can be as big as Britain.
I believe their client was the Congress party, he says. Mandy Clark, our London bureau chief, joining us live this evening from London. Mandy, what else has he said? This, of course, has sparked a huge row all over again in Indian political circles.
Yes, what's telling is he said that they did have an office and staff in India, and what was interesting was not just the answer, but the question. The question really went to the fact that India is one of the biggest democracies in the world, but also that they are prolific users of Facebook. So the question is Cambridge Analytica used the tactics that they're accused of using during the Trump campaign? Were those same tactics used in India in the campaigns that the whistleblower claims that they were involved in India? So that will be the big question coming out of his deposition.
And while the debate goes on in India, as someone who's viewing it from outside and this deposition going on before a British parliamentary committee, Mandy, would you say, how much can you trust the version of this man who's the whistleblower in the case, A, and B, would he have any ulterior motive in pointing fingers at one party and not mentioning another?
He wouldn't necessarily, who knows what he would... It doesn't seem that he would have any reason to pick one or the other, because he does go on to say he believes he has some paperwork and he can provide that to the inquiry. So it sounds like he was trying to remember off the top of his head. He said, I believe it was Congress. I don't think he would be aware of the ramifications that it would have in India in such a lively democracy. But certainly the after effect of his deposition will continue to play out. What is interesting now is if the inquiry are going to ask for those documents, or if we get a hold to get a sense of what works that Cambridge Analytica did in India. He said he made it clear that it wasn't on a national scale. They were regional elections, but still the locations and what tactics they use, because the real worry, and he had said that at the beginning, the reason he wanted to whistleblow is that he was very worried the work they were doing essentially damages democracy as we know it, because it is filling subversive messages, and people won't be sure that they're getting the version of the truth and that their own thoughts, their own decisions are truly their own, or are they being influenced by outside factors, outside players that they're not even aware of.
Indeed. Mandy Clark, thanks very much for tracking these developments for us there in London.